Welcome to Silent Service. My name is Will. I hope you're doing well. You and I are on for episode 22 of Silent Service, and boy, oh boy, you and I are in for a real treat. We're going to be interviewing my dear friend Lily Denneen, somebody that I met in my first year of college, the same school that Matt went to, Rollins College. And I had to take a moment to write down my thoughts because of how much I admire this person. I wanted to take this interview exceptionally seriously. So please do listen to this quote that perfectly encapsulates Lily. It reads, "You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to provide the most value." Lily is rather reserved, yet she provides the most value in the vast majority of rooms that she's in. Now, I've believed that for a while now, the quote that you just heard, but no one has proven it to me more than today's guest, my friend Lily. So, who is Lily Denneen? Well, she is the kind of person who shows up, works hard, treats people with kindness, and walks away without asking for credit. That is silent service, my friend. And yet, she's the kind of person who everyone remembers. At our school, she quietly racked up just about every award there was. But if you know her, you know the accolades were never her goal. They were just the natural result of her values. Work hard, stay humble, care deeply. Lily and I met in college, as I said, where we gave seminars together for prospective students as part of the university admissions team. And even then, in front of an auditorium, she never sought the spotlight, but she didn't need to. People could just feel her sincerity. I certainly could. We also bonded over a few funny coincidences. Namely, she's from the same town I went to middle school in, just outside of Boston, in a suburb called Hingham. That wasn't why I knew I wanted to be her friend. I wanted to be her friend because I saw how devoted she was, not to just doing well, but to doing right, to showing up with integrity, to helping people feel seen. She worked hard not to impress, but because she valued the opportunity to grow. And she was quietly passionate about the things she loved, especially her current employer, Disney. Which brings us to today. Lily now works full time at Disney in Burbank, California. She made her way from Hingham, Massachusetts to Rollins College in Florida, interned at Disney, and earned a job there, all through passion, consistency, and grace. Today on Silent Service, we sit down with Lily, someone whose quiet devotion and kindness have inspired me for years. Enjoy. Lily, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I've been looking forward to it too. This has been something that's been getting me through the week, has been knowing that we were going to have this time to catch up. We haven't caught up over the phone or like this in a while, so super excited to be here and honored of you for thinking of me.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I was just telling you off air that, my desire, shared desire between Matt and myself is to continue on with this tradition of hosting people that I admire. And look, lately it's just been, three people that I personally admire, and Matt just taking my word for it. But I'm so glad we can carry on this tradition because you are one of my favorite people from school, somebody that I truly do look up to. Some people think that you have to look up to somebody that's older than you. You and I are the same age, which is pretty sweet. Um, and yeah, I'm just so happy that you could join me. You're joining me from Disney, which is so cool. Like in the headquarters or something, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm actually in what's called the Team Disney building. So if you
Oh,
ever look up Disney corporate, there will be a big building with the seven dwarfs from Snow White, and that's the building I'm in now. It's where all of our C-suite leadership is. So I'm super grateful to work right in the heart of it.
yeah, yeah. And I wrote down some questions for you about that, but I just have one. Actually, you know what? I have to, keep myself from getting too excited because I did the same thing with our friend Zane.
Mm.
So you've listened to a couple episodes already, Lily, and so you may know that we always check in with something we call MEPS. Are you familiar by chance?
Yes.
Oh, so cool. Well, in case the new listener is not familiar, MEPS is what Matt and I do to check in with each other. So we ask, how are we feeling mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually? So, um, Lily, if you want, I would love to know how you're doing. And you can be as vulnerable as you want or not as vulnerable, doesn't matter. You have the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Mentally, I think I'm feeling pretty relaxed. I was telling Will before we started last week was a little busy work-wise. We had some projects pop up towards afternoon of Thursday, Friday that required some creative problem solving. So this week was a little bit more chill mental wise.
Good.
Um, yeah, emotionally feeling fulfilled. I love getting to connect with people. So getting to do this today, seeing a couple friends from Rollins who have also moved out to California tonight, as well as some Disney friends. My roommate Callie and I are having a little game night. So getting to connect with people from Rollins, Disney, bring everyone together. And then
So
my family's
cool.
visiting next week. So a lot of good emotions and connections.
I think I met your family at graduation, come to think of it.
Yes, yeah, I think we got to
Yeah.
bring our families together for a
Yeah.
moment, which is awesome.
No, I actually do remember. I'm pretty sure I
Yeah.
freaked out a little bit when you got to meet my mom. I was like, holy mom, this person, like, this is who I want to be like. So
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, definitely a highlight of graduation for sure.
Yeah.
Physically feeling not an adjective, so I hope it's okay, but feeling in a routine. Callie and I, my roommate, just moved to a new neighborhood, and it is really nice for like walking and running. And we live next to a basketball court and a park, so been going on a lot of walks and runs and making use of the Burbank recreation facilities. So that's been
Nice.
good to get out and enjoy the weather. Um, and then spiritually feeling grateful. We had a work event this week that my old team at Disney, the team that I interned with, put on. And so I got to help them out with that event and also volunteer alongside my new team. So it was great getting to connect with my old team, my new team, and sort of take time to reflect on my career journey that's thus far. And was really grateful to have that opportunity to think about where I'm at right now and check in with different people. So definitely feeling grateful.
Yeah, I'm so glad you are. And it's cool. You're still extremely well spoken. I don't know if Disney's well, probably has got you even more eloquent in terms of your speech, which is nice. I don't mean to overwhelm with compliments. I'm just excited, Lily. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing with me. I'm glad things seem to be going well on your end. Real quick
Yeah.
on mine, mentally, I'm feeling engaged. I too love to chat with people that I like, some that I haven't had a chance to speak with as in depth as I want to. Emotionally, I'm feeling um, well, I try not to be too prideful, but I'm really just proud that I have an opportunity to chat with you right now. Um, physically, I'm feeling a little lethargic. Maybe it's just been a long week and I'm a tad bit excited that it's Friday, so I have a little bit of a chance to rest a bit. But nonetheless, spiritually, I'm feeling grounded for sure. I feel like chatting with somebody that's always pretty calm is good for me. So there's that. So I'm glad we're both doing well, Lily.
Yeah.
Um, and I do want to let the listener though know that you and I met. Maybe it was I'm pretty sure it was our first year at Rollins. We were both
Mm.
brand new to the area. You moved down from Hingham, Massachusetts, which ironically enough is where I went to middle school. Shout out to St. Paul's School over there near Hingham Square. Um, I love that area. I went to Rollins from Lakewood Ranch, Florida, which is where I am now. And you and I go back not just because of grad school, but because we both worked in the admissions office there. Right? And you were kind enough to be doing the podium work, and I was a novice. And there was one day where someone wasn't going to be able to make the podium, so I joined in, and I was like, Lily, what am I doing? I don't know. And there was one moment in particular that comes to memory. Um, Alyssa Campbell was there, the director of admissions at the time before she went over to the grad school. And it was just great because I had a chance to reflect on that before joining you today. I mean, do you miss those days at all?
Yeah, I that's one of the parts of Rollins that I do miss, just having the opportunity to walk around campus, do tours, talk to people about a place that I loved, and then do the panels. And I remember our first panel together because I loved how honest you were
Yeah,
with the
yeah. Maybe a little too honest. I don't know.
because sometimes people try to like follow the script that admissions gives us on how to answer certain questions, and for the listeners, a lot of questions that we get revolve around, what do students do on the weekends, what do students like to do after class, and Will just had such honest answers for everybody, and you could tell that the families appreciated it. And so I think that's what made him one of the best panelists, in my opinion. So yeah,
Well,
those were fun ways to spend a Saturday morning.
yeah, yeah, no, I appreciate that so much. And it's funny too, Matt and I, who unfortunately you won't have a chance to meet today. He's with his family today over in Boca Raton um, for the weekend. But yeah, Matt and I, we actually have a youth group that we lead on Sundays. And I know for a fact that some of those people will be looking to head to school soon. And when I was thinking about going to college, I just wanted somebody to be brutally honest with me because I understood that it was a huge investment and that I was really grateful for the opportunity. So I just put myself in those parents' shoes. I was like, what would I really want to know? And I was like,
Mhm.
this is a really expensive school, worth the investment. Everybody says you're going to go to Disney a lot. It's expensive to go to Disney, stuff like that. Broke college kid,
Yeah,
but that's besides the fact. Well, great. We had a good time at that admissions office center, didn't we?
yeah, great group of people, the Rollins admissions team.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
to get to really the crux of why I wanted to have you on, Lily, is because and I don't mean to you're somebody that likes to be modest at all times, but you're somebody who's work ethic kind of speaks for itself, and you happen to win just about every award possible in grad school, but it never seemed like you strived for any of that. And you were the type of person at school that I would actually try to show up early so I could sit next to in order to learn something additional, because I figured just by being in your presence, I might learn a little something else. But I on this topic of, the kids that Matt and I get to support, like trying to do well in school. Let's say somebody is listening who is in school or thinking about going back to school. You're somebody that did quite well, better than me. I know that for sure. And, you're not in school anymore, but I was wondering if maybe you have like two or three, maybe just two habits that are top of mind that you utilize to become really good at school, for lack of a better term.
Well, thank you, Will. That means a lot. And I loved being in classes with you as well. I think for the listeners, Will and I got to work on some team projects together. And I think those were easily some of my favorite projects that I got to
She's
do
just saying that. You're just
while
saying that, Lily. You don't have to fib. I'm just joking.
But yeah, I think for me, a big turning point that I think I started to learn during our undergrad years at Rollins was how school and classes really was benefiting you. Like the person who's going to get the most benefit outside of what you put in to your class isn't necessarily your professors, isn't your family, it's really you. And so I think something that I learned and that I really tried to implement was even if there are opportunities that aren't required, Like I think a good example that I think about is like required readings for classes. Technically required, but I think sometimes life gets so busy that if there's not an assignment tied to that reading, sometimes I would find it hard to find the motivation to sit down and read. But I think I learned that the only person that was really not, being detrimental towards was myself. Like I was kind of robbing myself of that opportunity to learn and get everything out of grad school and out of Rollins that I could. And I think carrying it over into extracurriculars, like Crummer had a lot of incredible opportunities to do mentorship programs and do a lot of different outside of class learning opportunities and guest speakers. And so some of them I wasn't sure how directly they could benefit me, but I knew that, they probably would have some impact if I put myself in that environment. I think the one of the awards that you kindly mentioned. That's a good example of the programs that Rollins offered. It was through the Center for Leadership Development, and the real tangible component that we had to submit for that award, if you will, was a reflection on our entire Rollins and Crummer journey. And so I think I really viewed it as a chance to take the time and reflect. And it was sort of a fun exercise for me. So I really wasn't looking to get anything out of it. It really was that opportunity to reflect inward, benefit myself, take time and look back on everything that I had learned and participated in while at Rollins. So I think a piece of advice I have is really the mindset that you view what you're doing in school as beneficial to you first and foremost. Even though a lot of what you're doing might be being asked of you or required of you by teachers, by professors, it's only to benefit you in the end. And you can really shape how that benefits you by what you put into it.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I really, once I sort of learned that and figured that out, it shaped a lot of my Crummer experience as we finished up grad school.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like the only person that you're cheating when you don't do a task that a professor kindly asks you to do is yourself. The only person that you're cheating is yourself. Um, and definitely I wonder just how many of us actually read some of the readings that we knew we weren't going to be asked about. But as you said, it's so important because
Yeah.
like we were saying earlier, school is a massive investment and it's an investment in yourself. It's like the professor is just a middleman to help you to get to where you want to go. If you want to go to Disney in California, work there, right? Read
Mhm.
this and
Yeah.
you'll be well on your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to think too about when I was buying all the textbooks that we would have to
Right?
purchase. I was like, I don't want this money to go to waste that I've just spent. So I really did try to read as much as I could if, for the financial benefit too, to feel like I was getting my money's worth. But in the end, it really was for the learning and growing benefit. And I do remember a lot of the readings too that we did. I think there was a great one that I feel like I have to recommend because it was Disney connected, but it was by one of the founders of Pixar. And we read it for
Steve
our
Jobs?
Steve Jobs. It was, I think, Ed Catmull.
Hmm.
I hope I'm getting his name right. But it was for our intro to design thinking class.
Ed
And so that was
Catmull, yeah.
one, yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you.
no, no, all good. That was one that was really just a reading. I think we read the entire book for the course, and there wasn't any kind of like essay or project tied to it. But of course, wanting to work for Disney, that was when I definitely knew I wanted to read cover to cover. So
Yeah.
it benefited. I think about a lot of those takeaways from that book
And
still
maybe
today.
you even had a chance to talk about Ed in an interview for Disney. I bet you went through a couple of them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's one that I always reference back. So they definitely do those readings. They come into play as long as you can find a connection between your own goals and your life.
Smart, smart. And
Mhm.
if you don't mind me asking, I don't believe I had a great opportunity to chat with your parents at graduation, but do you feel like either one of them, your mom or your dad, kind of instilled that work ethic in you that you're describing now? Like, did one of them sit you down one day and they were like, whatever you do when you get to school is an investment in yourself. Doesn't matter where you go, whether it's Harvard and Cambridge or Rollins and Winter Park, you can go anywhere.
Mhm.
All that matters is what you invest in the education. Did one of them sit you down one day or something like that? I was just curious.
I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I think I'm very grateful to have a really incredible and supportive family. And I think their approach to it really was, you do as well as you can in school. But I think they just really believed in my passion more so. So, if anything, sometimes they would tell me that they thought I was doing a little bit too much. I'll tell you
They didn't
in
call
high
you a
school,
try-hard, Lily, did they?
just a little bit. In high school, I was not the best at math. Math did not come easy to me. And
Oh
in high
yeah.
school, I really wanted to be in the same math class as all of my friends. So I was like, I'm going to take AP calculus. And my parents were like, they sat me down. Like, you cannot do that. Like, let's be real with yourself. You do not need to take AP calculus. So they were always very supportive, like never to, they didn't put pressure on me to do anything I didn't want to do. I think the work ethic, and this is the part I've been thinking about recently, I think a lot of my idea of what it means to work hard comes from my grandparents,
Ooh.
actually. Very fortunate to have my grandparents still with us, and they are in their 70s, in their mid to late 70s, and they're still working insanely hard. They work
What?
in, yeah, they
Wow.
work, they used to be in law, and then they pivoted sort of post retiring from law, they pivoted to working in real estate. So they worked in real estate almost my entire life. And so growing up, I have seen them working pretty much nonstop to meet the needs of their clients. And they've to give them a lot of credit, they have won a lot of real estate awards in
For the state of
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts? Yeah.
Yeah, just because of how much they care about their clients that they work with. And so I think seeing that growing up, seeing how much like hard work they put in there, I think that had an impact on me that I didn't even realize until within the past year or so.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll get a chance to hear you speak so highly of them, if they want.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I was just curious, what kind of law do they practice?
They did, and both my parents and my grandparents did a mix of civil and criminal cases. So my
Oh,
grandparents did more private, and then my parents were working for one of the district courts in
oh,
Massachusetts.
very cool. And
Mhm.
I was gonna say I don't mean to put you on the spot, but unfortunately there's no one else here, so I am going to be putting you on the spot, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another reason why I do admire you, Lily, is because, they say it's important and it's a little bit of a cliche to lead by example, like lead as I do, or, do as
Mhm.
I do, not as I say. And, you exemplify that really well. In fact, you sort of embody this idea that you should use your mouth and use your ears proportionally, right? You have one and two of the other. So,
Mhm.
you know, did you get that? Is that just your personality? Does that run in your family? Do you guys all embody that and are smart enough to do that day in and day out? Or like, because I try to do that and sometimes I fall short. It's something I'm working on, something I've been thinking about lately. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I love that. I've never thought about like the physical proportion of ears to mouth.
Oh
But
yeah, and you know who taught me that? Oh, I'm so sorry.
no, no, yeah, tell you.
You know my friend Shiv Cora?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So Shiv is doing some really cool work in the radiology space up in Calgary in Canada. And he
Okay.
taught me that. It's like,
Oh, no way.
then he was serious when he told me, he looked me dead
Mhm.
in the eyes. He's like, Will, you have one mouth and two ears, right? And I was like, Yes, Shiv, I know that. He was like, Well, do you use them proportionally? And I was like, I don't think so, Shiv. So part of the reason with this podcast, I'm trying to do a little bit more listening, which is
Mhm.
important.
Well, yeah, wise words from Shiv.
Yeah.
Him and I lived in the same dorm our freshman year, so So
Oh,
definitely do
in
too.
Rex. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah, but I think that is something that again, I hadn't noticed it, but now like thinking back to it, I think that that is something that just sort of runs in my family. Growing up was a very quiet kid, and so I think I sort of have carried that with me. I feel like Rollins and Crummer especially is where I sort of got more comfortable contributing to like group projects and presenting. Like before Rollins, the idea of like giving a presentation in front of a class, that was terrifying. Like I would stress out all day if I had a presentation back in high school. But I feel like Rollins and Crummer really made me a lot more comfortable in that space. But I
Yeah,
think because, yeah, growing up was very quiet, just kind of have carried that with me. So I think I've always been more a listener as opposed to being the person who drives the conversation. And I think it's very helpful. Like just this past week, we were doing sort of a brainstorm session for an upcoming campaign that we're working on. And I like to sort of take in what everybody else is saying, listen, and then really craft my thoughts. I think it's easier for me to figure out what I want to say and how to say it best when I have time, when I have a little bit of time to like reflect and think about what I want to say so that I get it across correctly.
right.
And I think I'm very like detail oriented. So I think I like listening to other people's ideas and seeing where we can connect and sort of build synergy points and fill in any missing gaps. So I think that's sort of where my skill set lies, I think, in like a team brainstorm environment really is in like the listening component that uh, following up and taking it further versus really leading a lot of the conversations. I think I'll leave that to the people who are a little bit better at conversation leading
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Your answer makes me think of the Schnorr family, Claire from
Yeah,
Hingham.
yeah.
Just a mutual friend between Lily and I,
Mhm.
and we went to middle school together. And she's awfully smart. She's over at MIT for grad school, which is fantastic.
Mhm.
Also quiet, also really smart. So there's got to be something in the water there up in New England. But in terms of, the various meetings you have at Disney, has your like position changed a lot from attending more and say, not that the meetings before as an intern weren't important, but dare I say more important meetings
Mhm.
as a full-time employee? Like has your um position changed in that, you're expected to speak up more often now? I'm just curious about that because our lives are of vast majority of our lives are centered around work now, and I was just curious on what that looks like for you now, Lily.
Yeah. So I think jumping from intern to full time was definitely a transition. I think I was really fortunate in that I was transitioning in a similar field. So when I started with Disney about a year ago, I was an intern with the corporate social responsibility team on the corporate side of the company. And then I transitioned over into the corporate social responsibility side, but specific to Disney Entertainment. So specifically to everything related to our studios and our TV. So it
Perfect,
was
because
nice.
we talked a lot about that at Cromer, the CSR component there. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you again.
No, no, all good. Yeah, so it was nice in that a lot of the key like softwares we use, the concepts, Disney's CSR focus, I already had an idea from my internship, and so it was just taking that experience and adapting it now to the entertainment side of the company. And I think when it comes to sort of meetings and responsibilities, it definitely has sort of grown. I think my current role, because a lot of what we do relates to our productions that are seen by audiences around the world, there's a lot more responsibility to make sure everything looks good from a CSR perspective. So part of our role is anytime nonprofits are referenced in a movie or on a TV show, even shows like Jimmy Kimmel, like shows that are more like news based that reference nonprofits a good bit. We want to make sure that's being portrayed accurately and that it's mutually beneficial for the nonprofit. So stuff like that that we know is going to be seen by the audience is a lot more higher stakes than some of the stuff I was doing as an intern. And then in meetings too, now I have the opportunity to lead some meetings. So that's been really fun. So I lead our team's budget meeting, that was definitely nerve wracking at first because when
Ooh,
I heard the word,
that's
yeah,
amazing.
when I heard the word budget, I was like, oh, I was not the best at finance in Crummer. That was not one of finance did not come easy to me, but I think it's learning how to make the budget uh, work for me and then figure out how to share that best with my team.
Did
So,
AP Calculus help you with that by chance?
you know, can't say it's come into play yet, but maybe
No.
one day.
Well, you're better suited at that budgeting for than I am. I never took AP Calculus, that's for sure. Amazing, amazing. And you're leading like or not lead well, yeah, leading, but also presenting to colleagues of yours in like a boardroom style. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, so
wow.
we do a good bit of meetings. Disney is sort of a meeting, very team-based environment, at least the teams that I've been on. So it's a lot of getting together, brainstorming, and then sharing recaps with people as well. So that's where I was really grateful. My intern team was incredible in terms of giving me opportunities to grow and to learn more about the company. They've just incredible group of people. And so their introduction to having me kind of lead and participate in meetings was sharing recaps of some of our events. So that's where I sort of got my start is getting to share in front of our entire team and in a sort of typical boardroom setting. Here were our results from these events that we did and getting to share. And I think I know you are have this opportunity to work with your mentor on this podcast, and I love that because I think mentorship has been one of the most important things in my life, and so I think that's something I've carried into Disney is being able to find those mentors who will help you along the way and give you really unique opportunities to grow. So it's cool to see you and your mentor really take it to the this level of this podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lily. I couldn't agree more. In fact, I think it's especially valuable and maybe you agree as well, but for people um somewhat fresh out of school, you've been at Disney for a little over a year now, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes. So for me, I've been in this job for about 5 months. So it feels very fresh because the service work I was doing in Montana didn't feel very corporate. So learning how to get along in the real world, as they say, not that service isn't real world, but has been um, good and difficult at times. So it's especially nice to have somebody like Matt and other mentors in my corner. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't think I'd be doing as well as I would without them. So, and it's crazy just how different the working world is than school. Like I remember when I was in school, all I wanted to do was get out. I felt like I had all this free time in school and that I should be doing something, more substantial to help other people. And meanwhile, I was just lifting weights or, sipping on a beer at 2 o'clock on a Thursday, not so good. But no, it's nice. Like overall, I guess, I want to be courteous to your time, Lily, but has everything gone well since school? Do you wish you could be back in school, or are you happy with this opportunity to be supporting Disney in this awesome way so far?
Yeah, it's been a good mix. I feel like the part I miss the most about school, and I feel like probably this is felt by a lot of people our age, is really the community. Like I think it's such a unique time where you can live amongst your friends. There's always something to do, someone to see, and being in Winter Park, Florida, is such a great place to live.
Especially in the
But I
winter.
think
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I'm really grateful to be where I am now and it's just been so fun. I truly think every day that I've been with Disney so far has just been a new, like filled with new experiences, new things I'm learning. Like it's just been fun, which I'm really grateful to be able to say about my job. And I think something I really try to do is stay connected to sort of what I loved most about Rollins, which would definitely be the people. So very fortunate to have a great group of friends like yourself, and some other great people. I've been able to take some trips to visit sort of everyone where they're at. And I think it's a cool stage of life that we're in. It makes it difficult with like distance, but one of my friends, Natasha, I think you might have met her at some point, but she just moved to Colorado. So never had been to Colorado, but I got to go out there and visit her. I have another friend, Sam, who's moving to Tennessee. I've never been to
Wow,
Tennessee, but I'm going to take a trip out there and visit her. So it's
very cool.
cool to, be in this stage of life where we're all getting to see what each other are up to and following different passions. So yeah, I do miss a lot of the things that made Rollins great, but I think I always like to think of it as, what makes it great are the people, and you can always stay connected to the people. So definitely something I try to do as much as I can.
Yeah, yeah. It takes the more I'm out of school and the less I'm around people that I used to be so consistently, the more I realize, if you want to maintain relationships, you have to put forth effort. And it doesn't take much to send out a text, 3, 4 seconds, maybe be like, hey, how are you?
Mhm.
Was thinking of you. I heard somebody say from a book, that was like, anytime you think of somebody, right? You think about something nice about them, something you guys went through together, just text
Mhm.
them because you don't know the
Yeah,
next time you're gonna think about them. And to let somebody know you're thinking of them, it means the world. Do you remember the last time somebody sent you a message that was like thinking of you, hope you're doing well? Like, I bet that meant the world.
yeah, yeah. I actually, if you remember, one of our classmates, Lauren Shake, she actually just reached out a couple, I want to say last week, and was like, "Hey, thinking of you. How's it going?" And I was like, "This is what I love, to just reach out to people who maybe you haven't chatted with in a while." And it's funny you said that because when I was thinking about last night, things to talk about on the podcast, that was something that I think about too, as sort of like a lesson. Anytime you think of someone, just send them a text.
Yeah, yeah. Well, shout out to Lauren. She's awfully kind. I know she and I worked somewhat closely together. She was doing a graduate assistant gig as well as I was at Crummer for some time. But she's still in Orlando, isn't she?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Good. Well, Lily, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to be courteous to your time, and I do have just a couple more questions if you wouldn't mind staying on with me for a second.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah,
I
I
know
have
for
plenty of time. So,
Amazing, amazing. I
yeah.
know for a fact that the listener and I are grateful that you decided to share some time with us. So thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And for the listener, we'll see you on the next episode of Silent Service. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
So, wasn't that something? I mean, Lily reminds me, and I hope she reminds you too, that the loudest voices don't always have the most to say. Sometimes the people who shift a room are the ones who never ask for credit, who stay steady, kind, and consistent. She's proof that working hard, caring about people, and being deeply passionate, quietly, mind you, can move mountains. That's the kind of impact I want to have. That's the kind of impact silent service is about. Lily, thank you so much for living out your values in a world that often rewards noise. You've been quietly inspiring for years, and I'm honored to call you my friend. We so appreciate you being on silent service. And of course, I couldn't leave you without quote of the day. This one comes from a Mr. Mark Twain, and he wrote that kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. I love that. Thank you so much for listening, as I've said, and we will see you in the next episode of Silent Service.